I'm going to talk about how to produce an indie film and still have money left to buy groceries. So I decided to be an indie film producer, and that carries with it a certain connotation of being broken hungry. One of the things that an indie film producer does, you can tell who he is on the set because he's standing around looking impatient while everybody else is busy. I had a lot of learning to do when I decided that I wanted to make a film. Fancy book learning helped, and there are a couple of books out there by people that you've heard of. These guys I hadn't heard of, but I really liked this book because it was organized and it actually gave me examples of things, but nothing beat having experience. So one of the ways that I chose to learn how to do film production was to work at the Duke City Shootout. You volunteer, you don't get paid, but you learn how to make really tight, shootable scripts on practically no budget with almost nothing in your pocket. Now that I've caught up, I can take a breath. All right, so some of the things I learned that make a shootable script for a low-budget indie film, they had to have emotional intensity, they had to have personal conflict, limited setups. The more you move your camera around, the more you're going to spend time moving your camera around, so it needed to be something we could set up really quickly. Also making pretty girls cry. This is the set of the film that I made. It's called In the Wind. It is a post-apocalyptic film about family values at the end of the world, is how I'm putting it. And I was really excited that this is the film that I got to make. This was a shootable film because it was a theatrical film. I asked Eric Whitmore, do you know anybody who might have a script that I could shoot? And he went, And then he came back to me with a script by Eric Whitmore, In the Wind, go figure. So the goal of a low-budget indie producer is to have a nice long script. In my case, it was 75 pages. I was going to spend 4 weekends on set shooting it, and I was going to have all the footage in the can, every shot. I was going to do it for under $4,000. This is a really tight schedule, as you can imagine, for the next moment or so. Just imagine how tight the schedule is. So, the way that I managed to make it work was to plan. I was going to do it the way that I learned to do it at the Duke City Shootout, which tries to emulate sort of a classic Hollywood style. There are some people who like to, go guerrilla, run and gun. If that's the way you want to do it, fine, but plan. You've got to plan. If you're going to be spontaneous, you've got to know what you've got to catch. So, one of the ways that you plan is by taking the script and doing what's called a breakdown sheet of it. That's all the actors, all the costumes, all the makeup, all the sets, props, everything. Turn it into a whole bunch of lists. And then you start asking around, and you will be amazed at who you can find. This is a fellow named Beryl. He's a Steadicam operator. He brought us a Steadicam rig, and he was awesome. The entire crew was awesome. The entire cast was awesome, and they did this for free. Why did they do it for free? Because they wanted to be part of movie magic. Because I feel that they could trust the plan that I showed them. It wasn't just like a, hey, let's go make a movie thing. It was like 9 months of planning. They got to be creative, they got to be trusted, they wanted experience, and they liked to eat. I think one of the major things that I offered the crew was food. It's why you're all here, right? So this is the recipe that I used to make stew. And it wasn't just stew on set at all, like that wasn't all, but you can feed a lot of people on practically nothing, and they'll be very happy with it. The other reason why I think it worked out was that I gave them a lot of control. As a producer, I planned to be able to give them what they needed to be creative. And so the department heads had a ton of leeway. I also managed to make a lot of good deals. John Mayo Photography, whose photographs you've been seeing this whole time. There's a little place called Hacienda back there. There's a Mexican jumping bean company that we did our rehearsals in. That was really weird because we did our rehearsals among many jumping beans. And the UNM Arts Lab. You've got to be professional when you make an offer, though. You've got to have a plan. I think that really brings people in. I presented the Albuquerque Film Office with the opportunity to come down and take a look at what we were doing. And what they ended up doing was sending down an interview team with cameras. That's our director, Sabina Zuniga-Varela. And she gave an interview, I gave an interview, Eric gave an interview. Everything that we did on set was celebrated, but everything that everyone did off-set was celebrated too. These are blog posts off my website about appearances that actors were making, things that the crew were involved with. Everything that anyone was doing that wasn't on my project, I was still pumping through my project because I wanted them to get the recognition that they deserve. You celebrate your people, you get their loyalty. And you give them a chance to look at what they're working on. On a real Hollywood film set, If you're working on the crew, you're not going to get a chance to see anything. You know, your job is actually to stay out of the way most of the time. But I think one of the reasons why this worked out so well is because everyone was involved. They could see the fruits of their labors immediately. And that's fired them up and gave them an awareness of what they could do to improve what they were contributing. So you're a penny pinching cheapskate as a producer. You can get away with it by being trustworthy. That will attract trustworthy people. You can keep costs low by planning. It took me like 9 months to plan making this movie. But always meet your crew's needs. That's the most important thing. If they're not getting what they need, they'll leave. Where is it? I've been asked this question for 5 years. I didn't plan for this part, so my plan. It's to my eternal shame, I didn't plan the post-production, so it's in post-production, but I did make a big breakthrough this weekend. I finally get to look at the footage. So, if any of you are interested in helping out with post-production, I can use editors. I can use anybody who knows how to use editing suites, things like that. We're looking for artists. I'm looking for anybody who is just interested in finishing a project that has been a very exciting part of my life. Thank you.